Bill Maher storms in, not holding back. "So, we're actually doing this?" he says, looking straight into the camera. "Weekend at Bernie's, 2024 edition, except this time the guy's running the country." The crowd laughs, unsure if they should. Maher isn't smiling. He flashes a clip. Biden on stage mid-sentence, suddenly freezing, eyes wide like he just got unplugged. Another clip rolls. Biden reaching to shake hands with a ghost. The audience groans. Maher leans in. "Look, it's not ageist if the guy forgets which decade he's in." That one lands. Laughter explodes. But his face stays locked in frustration. "This isn't funny," he continues, pacing. "We're watching a president run out the clock while Donald Trump is out there doing rallies, stacking supporters and planning his second term like he never left the Oval Office. And what are Democrats doing? Holding hands, humming Kumbaya, and pretending everything's fine." He points again to Biden's poll numbers, slumping with young voters, independents, and even some Democrats. The guy could barely beat Trump in 2020 with a pandemic and half the country stuck inside. What's the plan now? Hope Trump self-destructs before the second debate? The mood shifts. The crowd starts to feel it. This isn't just a roast, it's a warning. Maher lowers his voice, eyes narrowed. "This isn't about being mean. This is about being real. We're in the middle of a fire, and our plan is to throw a wet sponge at it and hope the flames feel bad." He pauses. "I love Joe, but we've got to stop pretending love means ignoring reality." The crowd doesn't laugh this time. They just listen. Jake Tapper walks in, no smile, no sugarcoating. "Every Democrat I talk to, behind closed doors, says the same thing. They're scared," he says plainly. Not nervous, not uneasy, terrified. He pulls out the latest numbers like a teacher breaking bad news to the class. Biden's approval rating with voters under 30? It's in the toilet. Independents, he's barely holding on. Even lifelong Democrats are saying things like, maybe it's time for someone else. And these aren't just Twitter nobodies. I'm talking campaign managers, donors, even sitting members of Congress. Maher cuts in, waving his hand. Of course they're whispering. That's all Democrats ever do. Whisper, then leak it to Politico. Tapper smirks but stays focused. "Look, there's real talk going on inside the DNC about a Plan B. They won't say it out loud, not yet. But the meetings are happening. The documents are being passed around. They're looking at governors, senators. Even the word Newsom has come up more than once. Quietly, carefully, like saying it too loud might jinx it." Maher jumps in, grinning. "Plan B? I don't think Biden even remembers Plan A." Laughter breaks out, but Tapper stays on track. "This isn't about age, or at least it's not just about age. It's about stamina, messaging, presence. When Biden speaks, he sounds like he's trying to read instructions from a medicine bottle. Trump, for all his chaos, still commands attention. You can't beat loud and wild with slow and sleepy." He looks down at his notes. There's this growing sense that the party is stuck. They want to be loyal. They respect Biden. But they're watching him struggle in real time and wondering how this ends in victory. Maher nods slowly. It's the political version of watching your friend try to carry too many groceries at once. You want to help, but you also kind of want to see if they make it. Tapper adds, and the silence is the loudest part. No one wants to be the first to say it out loud. We need someone else. Because once that door opens, it's chaos. The party splits. The timeline goes crazy. But if they wait too long, Maher finishes the sentence. They'll be the only ones surprised when Trump takes the oath again. There's a heavy pause. Not dramatic, just real. The weight of it sits in the air. Tapper looks over. You asked earlier if this is like Weekend at Bernie's. I'd say it's more like Titanic, and everyone on the top deck still thinks the band's going to save them. The audience doesn't laugh this time. They just sit, still, maybe thinking the same thing the party is too afraid to say out loud. Before diving into the next part, Maher leans forward a bit and adds with a smirk. If you've made it this far without throwing something at your screen, do us a favor. Hit that subscribe button. It helps more than Biden remembering what state he's in. Tapper chuckles. Seriously, if you're into brutal honesty, a little sarcasm, and the political therapy we all secretly need, subscribe. Because this ride's only getting bumpier. Maher adds one last jab. And unlike Biden's campaign team, we actually know what comes next. Cut to black for half a second. Then the next segment begins. The camera shifts and Rep. Seth Moulton joins the table, wearing that tightrope walker look politicians get when they're trying to sound loyal and rebellious at the same time. He starts calm, measured. Look, President Biden is a hero. He saved democracy in 2020. But sometimes heroes know when to step aside. Maybe it's time to pass the torch. Bill Maher raises an eyebrow, half impressed, half amused. That's a nice way to say, thanks for your service. Now please don't run again. Moulton doesn't flinch. He brings receipts. Mentions JFK's decision not to run in '64 after health issues. Reminds the room that even LBJ stepped aside when the writing was on the wall. Then he shifts to the modern era. Obama energized a generation. Biden did what he had to do. But now that generation's tuning out again. And we can't win if people under 30 don't show up. Tapper jumps in, voice sharp. So let me ask you this. If the primary started tomorrow, would you support Biden? The table pauses. Moulton exhales like he saw that one coming. I'd support the person who gives us the best chance to beat Donald Trump. Period. Maher leans in, eyes wide. You still didn't say yes. The crowd reacts, laughs, gasps, a few knowing groans. Moulton backtracks a little. Look, I respect the president. I've served under him. I've backed him on key issues. But we've got to be honest with ourselves. There's too much at stake to pretend everything's fine just because it's uncomfortable to say otherwise. Maher nods, almost grateful someone finally said it. You're saying the quiet part out loud. Good. Because silence is what got us into this mess, Tapper adds with a smirk. It's like watching someone politely suggest Grandpa shouldn't be driving, while he's already halfway through the intersection. The room laughs again, but the tone's heavier now. This isn't just about jokes. It's about a real split inside the party, and everyone knows it. The energy shifts because now it's not just Maher ranting or Tapper quoting polls. It's a sitting Democrat saying out loud that maybe the emperor's old coat isn't looking so regal anymore, and no one's quite sure who's going to say it next. Cut to a fast-paced montage. Biden mumbling during a speech, wandering off stage, forgetting names. The next clip? Trump at a rally calling Hungary's leader the president of Turkey and ranting about sharks and batteries. The room laughs, but it's that nervous kind of laugh, like, this is really what we're working with? Bill Maher throws his hands up. This is what we've boiled down to. One guy can't remember where he is, the other one thinks windmills give you cancer. One's old, one's insane. What a choice. The crowd bursts out laughing, but Tapper cuts through it with a serious tone. This is funny until it's not. These are the two people most likely to run the country next year. If this were a job interview, both would be sent home for forgetting their resume or screaming at the receptionist. Moulton tries to bring it back to some reality. Look, it's easy to pick clips and paint a certain picture, but Biden's record matters. He pulled the country out of a crisis, helped rebuild the economy, kept NATO together when Ukraine was attacked, past the biggest infrastructure deal in decades. Maher doesn't deny it. Yeah, his resume is great, but he's not applying for a history award and he's applying to be president again. That takes energy, vision. And let's be honest, the man looks like he just sat through an 8-hour opera every time he speaks. Tapper nods. I've talked to Democrats off camera who say the same thing. They love what Biden's done, but they're scared he can't do it again. Politics is performance. You don't get a second term because you did something. You get it because people believe you can still do something. The energy in the room shifts again. Less laughter now. More thinking. Moulton still defends the president, but even he knows where this is going. Nobody's saying he's Superman, but he's steady. He doesn't rant about bleach or tweet nuclear threats at 3 a.m. Maher shoots back. Right, but at least Trump has the energy to be dangerous. Biden's just there. Half the time he's like a podcast playing in the background. You kind of hear it, but you're not sure what's being said. More laughter, but it lands differently. It's not just a punchline anymore, it's a real concern. Tapper leans in. So here's the real fear. What if we get to the debate stage and Biden just freezes? What if Trump goes full chaos mode, and Biden can't respond fast enough? It won't matter what he passed 2 years ago. What'll matter is who looks alive right now. Maher drops the last jab. He's on silent mode, permanently. We need a leader, not a screensaver. There's applause, a little nervous energy. No one wants to say it out loud that maybe both options are terrible, but that's where it's headed, and suddenly this isn't just about one guy aging or another guy being nuts. It's about a party, a country, stuck between two men, and one of them might just fall asleep before the election is over. Maher leans forward, eyes wide, voice sharp. You'd think after 4 years the Democratic Party would have a plan, a backup, a single person warming up on the sidelines. But no. It's like watching a team down 30 points with the coach refusing to call a timeout because, maybe, the starter will suddenly remember how to dribble. The audience laughs, but there's tension under it. Maher isn't just making fun, he's angry. This is the presidency, not a retirement community's talent show. You don't just keep dragging out the same act because it used to work. Jake Tapper jumps in, trying to ground the emotion with facts. What's crazy is that the Democratic bench is actually deep. Governors like Whitmer, Newsom, senators like Warnock, even cabinet folks. There are strong people, but none of them are moving. Nobody's stepping up. Maher throws his hands in the air. Because they're scared. Scared of being the one who says it. Scared of being called disloyal. It's the world's worst yes men audition. Everyone's nodding like Biden's the only guy who can save democracy, while he's out there mixing up France and Canada. Moulton adds, almost carefully, it's become a loyalty test. You step out of line, even a little, and you get shut out. The message is clear. Fall in line, or fall away. Tapper agrees. That's why every interview I do with Democrats off the record is like therapy. They whisper their fears. They admit they want someone new, but on camera, full support for the president. It's like being trapped in a group project where no one wants to say the leader isn't doing anything, because then they might have to do something. Maher doesn't hold back. It's like the Titanic is sinking. And instead of looking for a lifeboat, everyone's arguing about who gets to hold the violin. Do you want to win or do you want to feel polite while losing? The crowd reacts hard to that one, a mix of laughs and groans. There's no comfort here. Just the weird realization that the people in charge might not actually be in charge at all. Moulton tries to soften it, but even he knows the truth is rough. We've boxed ourselves in. It's either Biden or we blow up the party unity. But if we stick with him and it goes badly, we've got no one to blame but ourselves. Maher leans back, smirking. Right now, the Democrats are like a family that refuses to talk about the elephant in the room, mainly because Grandpa Biden keeps calling it a horse. Tapper finishes the thought with a more serious tone. What happens if there's no shift, no plan B? What if Biden runs, Trump wins, and all we're left with is a bunch of emails and regrets? Silence hits harder this time. The jokes land, but the fear is real. The party that claims to be fighting for the future is too afraid to talk about it. And all the while, the clock keeps ticking, toward debates, toward the convention, toward an election that's starting to feel like a slow-motion car crash, and nobody wants to grab the wheel. Jake Tapper's voice drops, serious and steady. Trump's not waiting around, he's ready. Doesn't matter if things get messy. Chaos is part of his plan. He knows how to use it. Seth Moulton nods, the worry clear in his eyes. We've seen this before. A second Trump term wouldn't just be more of the same. It would mean revenge against anyone who crossed him, pulling back from the world and purging those who don't fall in line. The damage could be worse than anything we've seen. Maher leans in, cutting through the tension with a grim joke. He didn't even hide it. On day one, he said he'd run the country like a dictatorship. Not subtle, not joking. That's the plan. The room feels heavier. It's not just about political games anymore. It's about what's at stake. If the Democrats drop the ball, if Biden runs again but can't hold it together, or if the party can't get behind a new leader, the door opens wide for Trump's return. Tapper adds, the fear of Trump is what still keeps a lot of Democrats united, even when they don't agree on much else. But relying on fear isn't a strategy. It's a warning sign. Moulton's voice lowers. If the Democrats fail to organize and offer real leadership, the country isn't just losing an election. It's risking chaos on a scale we don't fully understand. Maher's tone grows darker but stays sharp. And let's be honest, the clock's ticking faster than most want to admit. Trump's waiting, watching. The question is, are the Democrats ready to fight back, or will they hand over the keys again? The tension hangs in the air, real and heavy. This isn't just political drama. It's a fight for the future, and no one wants to be the one left standing when the music stops. Bill Maher's voice sharpens, cutting through the political noise with a raw edge. So now we're supposed to save democracy again. With this guy? He's talking about Biden, but it's not just about the president. It's about the frustration running deep among young voters, the ones who want real change but feel stuck in the same old cycle. Jake Tapper jumps in, his tone serious but sympathetic. Look at the numbers. Youth turnout in 2022 dropped big time. They're tired. They feel like no one's speaking their language or fighting for what matters to them. It's not just laziness or apathy. It's disappointment. Seth Moulton nods, his voice low and thoughtful. I've seen it up close. Voters breaking down saying they don't want Trump anywhere near power again, but they're scared and frustrated with the alternatives. It's like they're trapped between a rock and a hard place. Maher's frustration turns urgent. We're supposed to be fighting for freedom, for the future, but with a walking nap, that's what it feels like. People aren't inspired. They're not energized. And if the people who are supposed to protect democracy can't even get up off the couch, what hope is there? The conversation gets heavier, the room tense. This isn't just politics anymore. It's a question of trust, of whether the people in charge really hear what voters need. The youth want change, but what they see instead is tired leadership, old promises, and the same battles repeating. Maher's voice grows almost pleading. If we're going to do this again, if democracy is really on the line, it can't be with someone who's checked out. We owe them more than a rerun. They deserve someone who can fight like hell for them. Tapper adds, and if the Democrats don't figure that out soon, the young voters won't just stay home. They might start looking for answers in places we don't want to see. Moulton agrees, his tone serious. It's a crisis of trust, and if it's not fixed, it could cost us everything. The weight of it all hangs heavy. The disappointment, the fear, the urgent need for something real. The voters feel betrayed, and if the party doesn't change, the future might slip through their fingers. Jake Tapper starts naming some possible replacements: Gavin Newsom, Gretchen Whitmer, Pete Buttigieg. He talks about how each one brings something different to the table, someone who could shake things up and connect with voters better than the current tired leadership. But there's a hint of doubt in his voice. These names come up. But no, one is stepping forward loud enough. Bill Maher jumps in with his usual sharp wit. Pete's smart, sure, but sometimes he sounds like you're listening to an audiobook in a monotone. We need fire, not just facts. He's pointing out that being smart isn't enough. People want energy, passion, something that grabs attention and makes them believe. Seth Moulton agrees and raises the bar. We don't just need someone who plays it safe. What we really need is boldness, someone willing to shake up the whole system, not just keep it running the same old way. He's pushing for a leader who can inspire real change, not just maintain the status quo. But even with all these ideas, they agree on one thing: fear is holding everyone back. The party is stuck, afraid to make a move or challenge the old guard because no one wants to risk it all. The worry about splitting the party or losing support keeps promising candidates quiet. It's like a cage that keeps the same tired faces in power, even when the voters are screaming for something new. So while there are options out there, the real question is whether anyone will have the guts to step up and break the cycle. The Democrats might have the pieces, but right now they're frozen by their own fear. Jake Tapper lays it out straight. Is it too late for the Democrats to change course? The deadlines are coming fast and the clock is ticking. He's talking about how the primary races in key states are almost here, and if Biden doesn't step aside soon, the party might not have time to fix the mess. The pressure is real and the options are narrowing every day. Bill Maher jumps in with his usual blunt take. It's not too late. If Biden drops out right after Super Tuesday, there's still a chance to regroup and find someone who can actually run. Waiting longer? That's just asking for disaster. Maher's making the point that the longer they hold on, the harder it'll be to pull off a real change. But there's also a hint of sarcasm, like this whole mess is a circus that never ends. Seth Moulton agrees but warns it won't be smooth. Yeah, it'd be total chaos. Everyone scrambling, fights breaking out, confusion everywhere. But honestly, that chaos is better than just sleepwalking into a guaranteed loss with Biden at the top of the ticket. He's saying that the party might have to accept some short-term pain to avoid a long-term disaster. It's messy, but necessary. As they talk, you can feel the tension rising between two sides, one pushing to stick with Biden and hope for the best, and the other saying it's time to jump into the storm and take the risk of shaking things up. Neither side has a perfect answer, but the fear of losing is making everything feel urgent and desperate. In the end, it's a tough choice. Keep going as is and risk losing big, or accept chaos now in hopes of saving the election. The clock's ticking and no one knows what comes next. Bill Maher doesn't hold back as he fires off his funniest, most ridiculous idea yet. Forget Joe Biden. What we really need is a hologram version, the Biden Bot 3000. Imagine it walking up the stairs, reading cue cards perfectly and every now and then dropping a classic folks for good measure. The idea sounds wild, but it hits that funny, absurd spot where you can't help but laugh, even if it's a little sad. Jake Tapper jumps in, cracking a smile, powered by Metamucil and hope. That's the secret energy source. The three of them burst out laughing, but behind the humor there's a quiet tension. It's like they're all joking because the reality is so frustrating and strange. Maher wraps it up with a punch. Look, what we really need is a leader, not a legend stuck in a memory loop. The laugh fades, replaced by a serious note. The point is clear. Jokes aside, the country can't afford to run on nostalgia or tired promises. He finishes by telling the audience, thanks for sticking with us through this mess. Hit that subscribe button for more of this madness. The humor, the truth, the worry, it all comes together in that last line, leaving you thinking about what's really at stake.